Hello and welcome, football fans, to the Panther Pack Podcast, episode numero uno. We are here, we're live, and I'm very, very excited to have started this series for you guys. I know what you're thinking. Who is that mustachioed man yelling in my ear about spring football? Well, I'm FBI Tugboat. I'm a esports caster, host, analyst, interviewer, all these various things. I wear many different hats. Now, for those of you born before 1990, esports is just essentially competitive video gaming. For those of you born after 1990, esports, I mostly work within Rocket League, Overwatch, and a lot of first-person shooters as well. Work with a lot of colleges, a lot of other organizations as well. But I am that is not my job. As much as I love it, does not define me as a person. I am also a massive football fan and a huge spring football fan, specifically. Big college football fan. Grew up South Carolina, University of South Carolina, big SEC guy. The CFL, Canadian Football League, is cool, as well as the NFL. NFL definitely one of the sports leagues. Now, I was a big USFL fan, as well as an XFL fan. Now, gun to the head, had to say a little bit more USFL fan than XFL, but watched both religiously. Now, also a Vegas resident, Michigan Panther stuff is in the mail. Now, loved Seattle, loved Vegas, do have an affinity for the DC Defenders as well. Obviously, we are not seeing any Vegas Vipers. No Cashman Field in the UFL. I got to go to a game last year, and it was just as bad as as everyone says that it was. Baseball field, oh man, it's something else. The scoreboard, oh my goodness, don't get me started. All right, Seattle Seahawks, or Seattle Sea Dragons, excuse me. Also loved that squad. Obviously not present in the UFL. Taking a look at the USFL, I was a big Philly Stars fan. I was a big New Jersey Generals fan. I was a big Houston Gamblers fan. Also with an affinity for the Memphis Showboats now, and of course, last but not least, of course, the Michigan Panthers. Once again, for the people. You know what? Let's hit that a couple times. There you go. Love the Michigan Panthers. They have always kind of been an underdog, and that is like really me going into like a newer league. I did not watch the XFL in 2020. I really picked this stuff up with the 2022 iterations, of course. Let's get started here. The Panther Pack, Michigan Panthers, obviously one of the original 2022 USFL teams. Spent 2022 under Jeff Fisher, obviously the NFL coach. Had a stint there, a good stint. Went to the Super Bowl with the Tennessee Titans, Oilers, Houston Oilers, all that whole name change and stuff, and then kind of continued the theme with working with a team that changed cities with the St. Louis Rams, going on over to LA, to the West Coast, to the land of dreams. That's what they call it. So 2-8 under Jeff Fisher, improved to 4-6, punched the ticket within their division there to go forth, seek a matchup with the Pittsburgh Maulers. Close game indeed, 31-27, the only Michigan Panthers performance in the postseason. Now, again, Mike Nolan helped coach over there at Stanford, at Rice, and LSU. An SEC man, a man after my own heart. Before going around about half the NFL, to be honest with you guys, mostly as a defensive coordinator, most recently in Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys, those 2020. Now, let's take a look who is who on this stacked Panther pack. Here we have the full-on roster here, but I want to talk about some of the skill positions, the quote-unquote skill positions, right? Never really liked the term myself, but that is what it is known as, right? To me, it's skillful to play any position on American gridiron football, but I digress. E.J. Perry, coming on out of Boston College, played for, and then went to Brown University because his uncle's coaching. How cool is that? Kind of keeping it within the family. Highest overall athleticism score of QBs at the 2022 NFL Combine as well. And then similarly to Nolan, as a theme that you will see consistently throughout this, bounced around the NFL a whole lot. Jags, and went to the Texans. don't forget those. Then game came for his first stint in Michigan. Keyword first. Went back to the Texans, second stint there. Then came back with Michigan. Texans did not start him at all. Then went back for Jags for the second time. I believe that was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. I think that was the head hit. I can't exactly remember. Trevor Lawrence. Boo. He's a Clemson guy. What can I say? I bleed Garnet, folks. And then obviously from there, from his second stint with the Jacksonville Jaguars on over with the Michigan Panthers. Already has done as rushed well this season. 6 on 17 yards, 6 attempts, 17 yards for 2 tutties in week number 1. Obviously, a big reason why they won. Then went 4 for 25 week number 2. Could have more support around and whatnot. And I'm really excited to see how offensive line develops along. Michigan Panthers defense is no slouch by any means. We'll get to it. I'm jumping around too much here. Taking a look, Wes Hill's next running back here came out of Delaware, the Fighting Blue Hens. I've gotten to work with their Rocket League team like a lot. Went on over to Slippery Rock College. Can't say I've ever heard of Slippery Rock out of Pennsylvania. Similarly here, and again, a theme that you'll see a whole lot across this podcast, across this episode, whatever you want to call it. Episode 1, regardless. Panther Pack Podcast. Bounced around the NFL with those Cardinals, Lions, and then did a stint up there with the Canadians. An international football player, folks. An international football player. Canadian Football League. I can't exactly remember what team. Then USFL went down with the New Orleans Breakers week 3. West Hill is really just dominated this league when it came to on the ground. Week 3 of the 2023 season set a league rushing record in a single game with 191 yards. Right, man, almost ran 2 full football fields across a regular game. Of course, that earned him Offensive Player of the Week for that week, and went on to lead the league. 2023, 679 yards, 180 attempts, and 10 touchdowns. This would make him a shoe-in for the All-USFL team of 2023. Was picked up in the Spursville draft, obviously, after the Breakers did not make it on into the UFL. RIP Breakers. Maybe we'll see you another time. Moving on along here, Marcus Sims. This is not updated for this year, as you can see. Either of these two is for EJ Perry. Marcus Sims coming on out of West Virginia, where he was able to put up the ranking of 15th in rushing yards per game in 2018, his senior year. Now went undrafted in the NFL and played for the USFL for Michigan, second year here. Unfortunately, only got 4 catches across the games that he played. However, did earn Special Teams Player of the Week in Week 10 because of his continued insane kicking return. A real diamond right here. Obviously, the favorite receiver as well for EJ Perry, who's gotten the entirety of playtime through weeks 1 and 2. Week 1 we're looking at 2 receptions for 38 yards, 0 tutties on 5 targets. So actually, you want to confirm that? Yeah, receiving 5 targets. Yes, which obviously makes him the most targeted player on the offense there for week number 1. I'm skipping ahead. Sorry, guys. And then week 2, 3 for 96, 0 tutties, 5 targets as well. So pretty consistent 5 targets, and especially on a team that Michigan has just not spent a whole lot of time in offense, or at least not the majority. We'll get into that as we move along through the years. Taking along to the defense, the most forgotten part of football outside of maybe special teams, but Kai Nakua, and they don't even have a picture for him. Safety here, born in Las Vegas, a Las Vegas resident as well. Went on over, stayed over to Utah to BYU, Brigham Young. Excuse me, and Brigham Young, he broke the interception record for a player at 14 interceptions, I should say, not 14 years old. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. In 2016, senior year, racked up a total of 14 interceptions, and that was the most for the school. Maybe been broken since, not 100% sure. Went on down for the Browns. Started three different times. Then Kai Nakua, even more so, just got passed around here. 5 different teams that he played for. Got a couple of other starts. and came on for the Michigan Panthers 2023. Got 31 tackles for the sack, as you guys can see right here. Now, as you guys know, the Nakuas are a football family. 4 sons, all of them playing. 3 of them professionally. One of them is only 18. What that is. Ty in college, I believe he is committed to Brigham Young University as well. So following in his oldest brother Kai Nakua's footsteps. Excuse me, Samson Nakua also on the Michigan Panthers. He's going to be a receiver, as is the other two members. Kai Nakua, the only defensive football player of the Nakuas. Samson on the team as well. We'll dive into him in a little bit as well. Puka Nakua, the breakout player for the Los Angeles Rams, a name that many of you will know if you're coming in with more traditional NFL knowledge, and maybe this is the first time you're taking a look or a deep dive into the UFL. And Puka did absolutely fantastic things in the NFL last year. And the man of the hour, once again, folks, last but not least, maybe even the most exciting player on this team. And I know what you're thinking. A kicker, the most exciting player on this team. Well, I'll tell you, folks, there's a reason for it. A lot of history, not a lot of history, right, behind this player, but a lot of amazing action. Let's start from the bottom here. Sorry, guys. Obviously, the kicker here, Jake Bates, Central Arkansas, Texas State, and Arkansas went all the way around, but did not start in a game, never actually kicked in college, went undrafted in the NFL draft, got picked up by the Texans 2023. Now, Jake Bates is like this next step of coaching in the UFL post kickoff rules, where a bunch of head coaches, Nolan included, is really given a much better look to the special teams and whatnot. And Jake Bates has followed it up, or started here. He kicked once in college and he missed. All right, his next kick was last week against the St. Louis Battlehawks. Right, walk off kick, a 64-yard field goal for the walk-off win. Did a similar, and twice is nice. Twice from the ice right here. They iced him. Let's said later in the in the press conference, he just forgot he was in the zone. I love that. I know what that's like. Week 1, St. Louis Battlehawks. That was the man Jake Bates getting the walk-off field goal for the dub. 64 yards, not once but twice. Let's look a little bit more into this game here. Really, let's look at some of the players that stood out, of course. Wes Hill's there going 11 on 85. No tutties there, but E.J. Perry's shown that he's got the legs and can move it and can get it done when he needs to. 17 yards, but 2 touchdowns right there. The longest was 8 yards, and that was for one of those touchdown runs right there. This is really before our head receiver, really, Marcus Sims, was able to bust out, got the most targets in week 1, but doesn't really, in my opinion, show through as the number 1 receiver on this squad until week 2. We'll hop in a little bit more of that one. This is also a St. Louis Battlehawks squad that just, we can look here that they got significantly more on the time of possession, especially given the amount of, one less amount of drives, 47 plays. That's really a bigger deal than the 60 right there, especially given that, how much the clock might have, and eating into that clock might have really happened. That's really the big number, I think, that the yards per play here, 6 total yards per play. That's really the defining factor there. Also, getting actually into the red zone twice after getting there 3 times, not too shabby, and doing it all with 168 yards via passing, and really setting the pace for Wes Hills to go forth and get it done on the ground. 112 yards. That's hands down the most from week 1. Granted, some of their teams are using multiple backs and whatnot. Wes Hills really, for the most part, as you can see here, Colburn kind of came in, kind of change of possession, or change of momentum, excuse me. But even doubling right there, E.J. Perry was just forced to run a whole lot, and that's probably at least 2 or 3 of these 6 attempts. Moving on into week number 2. This was a good game, it really was, and also forcing barely more than 50% completion for Alex Martinez, way less for Matt Corral, the guy who popped off in week number 1 for the Stallions. As we see ratings here, and E.J. Perry beat both of them. excuse me, completion ratio of 53% and 42. Matt Corral was only allowed one touchdown through the air as well. This was mostly just a really back and forth game that I felt like. I mean, it's a one possession, right? 7 points. This can be easily undone in the UFL. 61% is not anything to like write home about and say that this is fantastic, but I mean, especially attempting like a whole lot. They attempted 27. We attempted 33. Just had to get a lot done through the air. Obviously, West Hill is getting a lot fewer opportunities on the ground, but with a defense like Birmingham Stallions, this kind of seems like a little bit obvious. Stallions really 7 for 64. Those are pretty brutal numbers as well. I love that the Panthers were able to do this as well with only 13 first downs. Taking a look here, the time of possession is even greater, right? Or the difference, excuse me, is even greater. Birmingham with 37, 22 on the other side, but the number of drives is the same. So what this tells, obviously, is that we were able to do like a little bit more, eat up at least eat up clock and whatnot when it was there. Red zone TD 0 for 2. That's another really big differential right here. Another big one, obviously, passing yards not too shabby. I was happy with how Panthers secondary defense did show up. 13 completions for 141 yards. These are decent numbers, 160 or so for 20, maybe not so much. 27 attempts, so again, holding them to like sub 500, not too shabby. This is really the big difference. 4.9 yards a rush. We have a fantastic defense. It's just a fantastic offense, and one of the most solid offensive lines in the league with the Birmingham Stallions. That's why they're allowing essentially 5 yards per rush. The old saying, right? 3 yards cloud of dust. Well, that don't add up. That adds up to 9 total yards, 3.3 yards in a cloud of dust. Well, now you're getting a first down. Never really seeing a fourth down, right? Difference being the amount of yardage and obviously the attempts here. Taking a look back at like who exactly was taking these attempts. I mean, EJ Perry, more than half of West Hills is, and obviously the average just way better. West Hills just 1.4 is pathetic, and that is not exactly something that it's not sustainable, and it's also not something that you come to expect from West Hills. Did catch literally all of his targets though, not too shabby right there. What is that? 4.8 per, pretty darn good. Sims once again is the receiver that I really wanted to talk about. Whatnot, Marcus right here, 3 on 96. That is definitely something to write home about, especially that right there, the yards after catch. These are numbers that cannot be ignored by any means, and I think once we get on to playing other teams, maybe not so almost NFL level, be a little bit different. We are following up in week number 3, moving on along right here with this showdown. Still at home, right at the Ford Field up in Detroit, Michigan. That'll be what? That's the week before the NFL draft as well. So this is obviously. I am pretty damn confident about this Roughnecks game right here. Roughnecks have looked like they have had flashes of good, but mostly just continuous streaks of mediocre in every way. Really back and forth to San Antonio. The Alamo Dome, they can show up. Uh, it's dangerous to try and give a team like this any kind of like extra advantage, especially given what they showed off in week 1. But it's so hard because like was week 1 really like a great like our team's what they are from last year, right? Memphis, they did not have great home field attendance and whatnot. Love the organization, love the field, love where they play, everything else like that. Memphis just didn't show up as much. To be fair, the first 2 weeks were not exactly timed very well, right? Like you're talking about Easter Sunday, you're talking about Final Four for men's and women's, and I mean today was men's Final Four, the women's basketball championship. There was a lot of sports that were competing. Last weekend as well was what like the 10th day of the regular season of baseball as well. So maybe you can attribute these things. Obviously, it's the South there in Memphis, Tennessee. A lot of people are going to be going to the to church and whatnot, and unless they're really early morning church people, then you're talking about getting out like 11, 12, and especially East Coast. You're talking about Eastern time, and no professional football. NFL football starts before 1 p.m. So this is not something that people are accustomed to going to church and then coming out and having football, right? Starting these games at 12 noon is not allowing for anywhere in the South, is not allowing for people to go forth and practice their religion and whatnot on the day they choose to. Week 6 versus Arlington. Feel great about this one as well. At home, Arlington is not the team that we saw last year. DC, will the lemons come out? Will the lemon heads show? Right? We had great attendance, and again, I like DC. Obviously, Michigan the team, but I like DC. Great attendance at Audi Field, right? Fantastic attendance, and all of the UFL teams I feel like have been doing a great job on mostly Instagram. That's where I'm at and whatnot. Um, but they're actually cutting it close to like overdose type level. I'm not gonna lie. Why is this so close? Let me bring that down a little bit there, guys. There you go. I'm not sure why that. Not sure that was right up on me. There you go. What was I talking about? UFL, sorry, DC. Oh yeah, home field. So Audi Field was pretty well populated. Obviously, nothing compared to like St. Louis, but pretty heavily populated. I think how they turn out. What is week 7? That's so what we're week. Yeah, that's week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. May 11th. I'm not sure. May 11th, 12th. I'm not sure if there's anything going on that week, but I need to see who DC is, right? They won by what? They won by 5 today, right? Am I faded? Week 2. Roughnecks, yes. Arguably the worst team in the league. Please load. Please, dear God, load. I know they won by 5. That was their line. It pushed. Nothing, literally nothing worse than just getting your money back, right? Getting your old cash back. All right, while this loads, take a look at Memphis there for Week 8. DC and these are the two biggest games that I'd say that I need to see or three biggest games really. Like at Memphis, like a little bit less, but these two, Week 7 and 8, especially as we are getting into the later half of our season and whatnot. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is where the cream of the crop rises to the top. Who exactly is Memphis? And who exactly is DC, right? Memphis week 1 was the easiest lock of the entire slate right there. Vegas had Memphis at plus like what 1.5, 2.5 as it got farther down there. I grabbed 2.5 immediately. Was not happy with taking them straight up, and I gotta say, man, the Brahmas, like you take a look at that play 100 times. Like if you show 100 people that play who know football and they watch it, way more than 50% would be like, there's no way they got there. This guy like doesn't have possession as he's coming across the line. Whatever. Maybe we'll show the clip in a future episode and kind of like break that one down a little bit as much as we can. They have drone cameras, they have footage everywhere of that one, but regardless, if for Memphis, you can't let a team hang around like that. Yeah, I mean that's what literally everybody was saying, but you can't let a team hang around like that. And they definitely did. And one of the most exciting, is it the first? Is it the first comeback based off the 4th and 12 rule? I think it might actually be. Not 100% sure about that one. But going back to my point, 5, 7, 8, these are teams, and even 6 like a little bit. If Arlington shows me like really good games in the next 2 weeks, this will be more of a question mark in week 6, right? But week 7 and 8 and 5, I really have to see who these two teams are, who the Showboats and the DC Defenders are. Both DC and the Showboats have been really, really up and down and showed like, I mean, Memphis's defense already got one, maybe 2 touchdowns, not 100% sure. DC, on the other hand, has been like really, really, really mega up and down. I just need to see how Cook works at home against more teams, right? Week 9, I think we can chalk this up to a W. Week 10 at Birmingham, that's gonna be brutal. We just lost to them by 7. Who knows how the season goes on, right? I think actually, the other big what? Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Week 10, the big question mark is who's still healthy, right? And who is still healthy? 1A or 1B or whatever. who is quarterback over there at the Stallions, right? Are they still going with the two quarterback thing? Has Matt Corral come out and proven on top? Is it Martinez who has shown himself to be the better quarterback with Skip Holtz's system in Birmingham? Or will they continue to go with the two quarterback thing? I don't believe Skip Holtz would ever run a two quarterback system unless he genuinely had faith in it. It would make sense if he started out the season to try this out with not really having like a clear decision between the two, unless that was his intention going into it. But speaking of injuries, right? You can put I will put an addendum onto my earlier statement, right? The Houston Roughnecks have looked like the worst team minus Mark Thompson, right? You can't talk about the squad without mentioning the man's name, right? He did amazing things in spring football so far. Is out with an ankle injury, I think. Not 100% sure. I know he's been out weeks 1 and 2, and I haven't seen anything official about an ETA of when he is coming back. But the man is a game changer all the way through, right? Like 100%. Any line, any prediction, anything else like that is really going to be dependent on like Houston getting this man healthy and getting it like actually fully healthy, not starting him early, obviously, right? Guantanamo. Oh my God, I butchered the man's name, didn't I? Houston Roughnecks. I like literally see his name. Reed Sennett was the guy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Alright. The Houston Roughnecks quarterback, whose name begins with a G. I'm very, very sorry. Reed Sennett came in and looked much better. Guantanamo? Not 100% sure. Sorry. Reed Sennett came in and looked really good, honestly. Looked really, really good. If Reed Sennett continues to look really good, Mark Thompson comes back, and they have a stretch of home games coming there in the middle of the season, we're looking at a different Houston Roughnecks team, especially later on in the season, Week 9. Well, they will hopefully be able to figure it out, and again, they'll be at home. And Texans, they just come out for football, right? Really, really do. This is also one of the, like, Houston to Michigan, I believe, is like the farthest geographically, like, away, right? So just travel-wise. Well, we'll get in and talk about that as it comes, right? I think some people really put way too much into travel, but you take a full week, you go forth, it just doesn't matter. You argue otherwise, well,
you can't handle the truth,
and you know it. This is going to be it here. Let's go ahead and count them up, right? 1-1 across here. I'm going to say week 3, no Mark Thompson. Reed Sennett still figuring out. That is 2-1 right here. At San Antonio, question mark, but I'm going to say we're going 2-2. At Memphis, just like week 5, just like week 8 is a big question mark. I'm going to say we win one of these, though. We won these, right? So 2-2. We'll say 2-3. 3-3. At DC, I'm going to say 4-3 between the two of these. I would not be surprised us going 4-4-3 here. Easy dub here. And then I'm really, really interested to see how this team shakes out. With a W here, W there, we're looking at a 7-3, maybe 6-4 season. With only real losses, obviously, Birmingham twice. Once in here, right? Memphis, DC, Memphis, one of these, and San Antonio. That's my predictions for an awesome season here for what is hands down the best defense outside of maybe the Stallions in the UFL here for our 2024 season. Folks, I'm FBI Tugboat. I very, very much appreciate you guys tuning on in. You can catch me literally everywhere. Boop, right down there. Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, everything. FBI Tugboat.
You ever made out with a tugboat?
That is I. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.